Hey, here we go. Hey, we are active. Good evening, family. This is Joe checking in for the No Picks podcast.
What up? What up? This is Ty.
Heather, another featured guest on a No Picks podcast, representing for Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, let's do it.
So,
Right.
what's the question?
Okay. So let's just dive right in. My perception is I take a firm position and say, yes, traditional marriages still exist. They can be founded in everyday society. I look to my best friend who's in a relationship for 22 plus years. We're 36, so that's high school sweethearts. My parents are still together. We're talking 42 years. My significant other's parents are still together 38 years. And I've been with my partner for almost 11 years, just past in October. So with that said, I think we're on the track to fruitful forever marriage. And I have no doubt that that I'm not the only one, and my circle of closeness of people are not either, right? So I do, however, believe, though, that that's not to be said for everybody. And if you were to ask me this 10 years ago, my perception would be completely different. I'd be like, F marriage, not for me, not going to happen. Because when we first started, honestly, we were supposed to be one night stands. Like, I'll just be honest with you. Like, we met on Facebook, slid in my DMs, right? So I'm from Tampa. He's from Miami. And so we ended up meeting in Miami. And from there, we agreed we were just going to be hit and split. I ended up falling in love. So did he. I was pregnant within 3 months. Here we are 11 years in.
Right.
So I was pregnant in like 60 days. Huh?
11 years. That's some solid time, man. Congrats.
I know. I mean, been through hell and back. Don't get it twisted. It's not all been roses and gold,
right.
but it's if your goals are aligned. Now, if you'd asked me this 3 years ago, I'd have told you we were on the rims for ruins. We were never gonna come back. Fuck this, fuck that. Out. But we had to come to Jesus after our 3 years of complete hell. 3 or 4 years of hell. We had to come to Jesus, put God as our foundation. Look to our parents as examples in which we wanted to follow. By this point, we were one kid deep. We have a 10-year-old now, but he was like 7 at the time, 6 at the time. And I left him. Like, he called the cops on me. We had each other arrested. He kicked me out of my house. Like, it was crazy. He took my kids from me.
I was going in.
He brought a bitch into my house, slept with her in my bed. Like, we're talking some nitty gritty, grimy ass shit, right? I flipped the script. I had him. He left my kids with my parents. They weren't. I mean, it was a whole fucking story. But at the end of all the court, at the end of all the drama, at the end of everything, we came together and said, what do we want with each other and for each other and with our kids, and do we want to do it together? And the answer was yes. And so by definition, if one wants to, they will, right? And I would argue that together, he and I did a complete 180, and we work hard every day for our relationship. And when all else fails, we rely on God to set the precedence, take our time out, to come back, revisit, compromise. Somebody's always bending over, but it's for the greater good of our relationship. And what I mean by bending over, like, I may not always get my way. He may not always get his way, but there's a compromise, right? I'll bend over and say, you know what? And this, I'm going to give it to you. But I feel like a lot of relationships need that now, right? And so we've gotten kind of lost in all of that. And people are kind of like putting their kids before their relationship, putting their careers before their relationship. When you have an understanding with one person, first and foremost, foundation is whoever you believe in, or the creator, right? If you don't believe in something, you fall for anything. So our foundation is God. And then from there, we put each other first. And from there, it's the kids. And then it's our exterior family and friends. But all in all, 10 years ago, hell no, different mentality, different mindset, hit and quit, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, I'm that one. And so here we are today. I wouldn't change anything for the world. And I do firmly believe that if two people want to affirm to the traditional marriage, they can.
Okay. Well, like I said, congratulations for 11 years. That's amazing.
I mean, it's
that's amazing, first and foremost.
And he's a Leo too, so we got Leo and Pisces, right? I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but we are oil and vinegar. We're not supposed to. He's police and I'm 9 felonies. Okay, like we're not supposed to be together, but here we are. And now we have 3 kids, right? So in the midst of court and like custody battles, I got pregnant, like unfucking believable. Anyway, so here we are.
Man,
Say again.
I was saying, congrats to him. Shout out to him. That's all.
So anyway, all that to say, the traditional marriage and relationship. But I will say this: I won't get married. Like, we're not legally married because
Oh,
he owns a
what?
business.
I thought y'all was married.
No. So we've gotten the ring. We went to the courthouse. We were going to do it. We set the date, all these things. But at the end of the day, when we look at our businesses and the way their model is, our tax benefits are better if we're not married.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think, Joe?
I I think that traditional marriages, of course, they still do exist. Some of the older generation are happily married, or just say married. I think that it's not as common anymore. It definitely depends where you are. I can tell you that just in my experiences in Philly, it's not as common. It's usually people who are already older, like the boomers, and a little bit younger than that. Um, I do think it exists. I believe in it. I believe in marriage. I believe it's better for children. Statistically, gives them
For sure.
advantages. In some ways, it could be better financially, economically as well. Depending on how you do taxes, things like that, businesses. Um, I think it's great. I also think that if I'm on my deathbed and someone has to decide if they're going to pull the plug, my wife should have that sole and first right. You know what I mean? If you're not married, someone else can make that decision for you.
For sure. So
I
yeah.
definitely believe that, there's a lot of value in that, the fact that my wife and my daughter are covered by health insurance through my job because, there's so much that comes with being married and I'm all for it. However, you kind of touched on this. I do not feel like people now are being set up to be in marriages. Like I think that men have become over time weaker physically and character wise. I think they've become softer, more emotional. I think they've become less ambitious. I think that some of them have also disengaged, especially like Gen Z and younger. They're all about social media and clout and YOLO and that kind of life thing. So I think that marriage is something that's just not into consideration right now. It's not even on our radar. Usually in your 20s you're supposed to be anyways. I do believe it exists. Okay, and then we'll dive out, but I do believe it exists. I just don't think that currently our young people are being prepared to be a husband, or our girls aren't being taught how to be wives. Whether that's traditional or some kind of blend, I don't know, but we aren't being taught. We don't know how to cohabitate. We don't know how to do that.
Correct.
So
Correct. We're hardly learning how to self-regulate, right? So like our own emotions. And so to be able to come to the table and say, admit your rights, admit your wrongs, accept your own flaws, acceptance of all the flaws and all the things. You're right. It's not something that's taught. And without somebody making the conscious decision to make it their priority, it won't happen.
All right, so let me say this.
That's facts.
I'm gonna disagree with both of y'all. I don't think traditional marriages exist at all, bro. So when I say traditional marriage, I think y'all kind of took it in a different direction. When I think of traditional marriage, I think of man working, making all the money, wife, mom, home, baking apple pies and shit. Like that's
oh wow.
That's, so
okay, switching the perspective a little bit.
So,
I see.
So all right, so keep talking and then we'll touch on that because now we're with you.
I don't think that should exist anymore because okay.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You feel what I'm saying? Like I don't think it exists anymore because think of the situations. Like Heather, think of what your situation is. Joe, your situation, people that you know, whatever, etc. Bro, those people, the women work normally. Like 15% of women in this country don't work. Right. They stay at home. So meaning 85% of motherfuckers go to work because their husbands have to work. And it's not all right, I think that society has just changed from what it used to be. Right. I think that if I know, right, back in the day, say let's take today, right? Yeah. Let's say you and I are married, right, Heather? Mm-hmm. I make $80,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Right? And you you make I make $80,000 a year. You make no money, right? But the problem is like when you wanna go on vacations and all that kills us. Right? Like so you could live modestly off $80,000 a year. But the problem is all the amenities that people want, they want to buy bags. They want to go to Bermuda every 6 months. Like that's unsustainable on $80,000. So both couples have to work.
Right.
So I mean, both parties have to work. So I don't think traditional marriages work anymore because it's not a thing. Like not enough people in this country make enough money to where the wife could just stay home and just kick her feet up and watch Atlanta Housewives all day. It's not a
I would
thing.
argue a woman shouldn't want to do that, right? So, but to piggyback to chime in on that, when so I don't know, I kind of beg to differ, right? So it depends on which generation you're talking about. My parents, there were times in windows of times that my mom didn't work or was out of work, and my dad picked up the slack, and there were off like when my mom first had us kids, she didn't work at all, right? So over time, as we got older, she went back to work. So that's dating back to the 80s, right? So in my current situation, there was about a year and a half, almost 2 years of time that I spent either like for a large part of 6 months not working, but then the other like 18 months around about to get me where I'm at now, I built my business, right? To which during that window of time, he supported everything. Our lifestyle took a moderate cut because I had quit my job to do this. I quit my 6-figure job to jump into real estate by myself and solo. And so for like the first year and a half, I didn't really make any money, and I was supported entirely by him. Well, our vacations certainly took a standstill. Our lifestyle certainly took a pause. The staycations all over, the Airbnbs, all that came to an abrupt halt. But I will tell you, I got to stay home with my kids. I raised my two littlest. My 3-year-old, I got to spend most of my time with her. She's not been away from me for very much time, except from going to school in this moment. But I would argue that, subject to perspective, if you have two people who are genuinely putting forth the ability, the desire and the work to choose each other every single day and agree on this, okay, we know this isn't permanent, this is temporary, to which we did. And he knew I was going to be putting forth my energy to building a business while I was pregnant and I had a baby already, like all these things. He 100% gave me his undivided loyalty and devotion with no expectations, right? Although I did clean the house or whatever, we stopped having our housekeeper come. We went down to I started doing our own laundry. Like I started cleaning the house to the point where I was so wrapped up in house duties, I couldn't even focus on my business, right? So we had to take a step back and say, okay, what are the necessities that we need to keep this thing going and move forward to the next phase? So in your defense, I agree to an extent, but provided you have two people willing and able to make the sacrifices and the compromise for the greater good, even if it means putting 3 years of hard work forth now to have ease, 4 years post, then I would argue it does happen. It can happen, but you got to find the right person to make it happen with. It's all about that partner. That partner makes the big difference.
Well, I'm not a proponent of struggle love. I'm not saying that's what you're promoting or endorsing.
Oh, no, just during that window of time, right?
But I know, but for me personally, and I'm not saying you're saying that, but I don't really try to push people into struggle love. What I mean by that is when people just aren't financially equipped to raise or maintain a family and jump into these things, whether because it's unexpected or maybe you fell in love with a one night stand. I don't know. It depends. Everybody's situation is different, but I think that what Tyrese's point is, there's another point, right? Is that it's just too expensive to live right now, or it's more expensive to live right now. You see what I'm saying? Before we talked about this before, Ty, where in the 40s and the 50s, Pop could go work at a factory and support his entire family while his wife was staying at home and with his one job. You know what I'm saying? You could still take vacations. It was so, you cannot do that now because the cost of living is so much higher. And so I think that's it's not the marriage is on the decline though, right? I'm gonna say there's a financial part of it, but still marriage is on the decline, especially here in the West. Not only that, but also childbirths are on the decline as well. As a country, our childbirths are going down, especially.
I just read an article on that, yeah.
Yeah. So it's because people don't want to have kids because it's too expensive. Kids are much more expensive. So no, and then they can be that too at times. I didn't want to agree wholeheartedly, but I'm like, they have. But
you can make it. They promise kids are all these wonderful things. Let's talk about the hidden stuff that people don't talk about. It's not all glitters and gold, and it's.
Oh no, of course not. It's not.
Nightmares sometimes.
Right. It's So there's this thing, right? Do you think that? So Heather, I have a question for you then, because me and Tyrese have talked about this. So we know that it's harder now to have that kind of relationship where one person is the sole breadwinner while one can stay at home, right? It's just become so much more difficult to do that, right? So with that said, what do you think about this expectation that some women have that they are still looking for a man to do that for all of them? Do you think that is an unreasonable expectation? And what do you think? What do you think men should get in return? What do they, you know what I mean? What is there to offer for that man who's going to either retire you or let you stay at home while he pays all the bills? So I guess it's two questions, but what do you think about women who have that expectation? I got to find a man who, even if I'm working, I don't want to pay no bills. You know what I'm saying? He pays for everything.
Right.
I disagree with that. I don't think a woman should. So twofold, right? Like, I don't think the goal of any search in spouse should be with the notion that he's going to take care of me, all these things. I guess let me take that back. Unless they met on like at a gathering or on a site that was of mutual understanding, where like she's a sugar baby looking for a sugar daddy, right? And in that context, like it's an understanding. It's more like a business relationship. But if it's a woman who's genuinely searching for a soul connection and love, and by which she defines as a man taking care of her wholeheartedly, financially, and otherwise, I have like, it's not for me, right? I don't have a problem with it, but it's not for me, right? Like, that woman is searching for something, for a diamond in the rough, like a needle in the haystack. The man who was looking to take care of the woman, I don't believe that person exists anymore. And if they do, it's super rare to come across. Just my 2 pennies. I don't think that the woman should be putting herself out there, like expressing that this is what I'm looking for, to be solely taken care of, not grow, sit and watch all these housewife shows, and that's what I'm feeding my brain. And I don't think a man should find that attractive and want that to be his end all be all. I think if that were to become, though, he would absolutely be cheating. 100%. And he might find somebody of more brilliance. Like, I think men don't seek just a doormat, right? Maybe they do it for a short period of time, but I don't think in the longer picture of things, I want to believe that men are ambitious and that they do have goals, and like they don't want to just settle, similar to what I preach about women. I don't want women to just settle for mediocre or less than. I want to believe that men seek to aspire and connect with like-minded people, and from that they grow. That's what I want to believe.
Okay.
Well, this conversation obviously can go on, right, for forever. But we got to end it here. We could probably revisit this, right?
Sure.
Listen, like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe. Let's keep making progress. Let's keep it up. Right?
All the things.
All the things. So, let us know what y'all think. We'll engage. We'll have conversation about it, and I mean that'll be it. All right. So,
all right, y'all.
Till next time.